This is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Yes, from 6:30 till now, welcome to Good Morning Uganda Extra, an extension of Good Morning Uganda. I'm Robert Chirabo Nyonyi Ntono, and I again have yet another interesting guest and of a national importance topic. Now today, Ugandans, we are very excited over something called petroleum. So just a hint of what you are going to be discussing this morning. And I have, that is Sarah Birungi Banange. Hope I have Banange, if I have the right pronunciation of that. And she is the head of, that is corporate affairs at the Uganda National Oil Company. You're most welcome to our studio.
Thank you very much. My name is Sarah Birungi Banage.
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 Okay.
Yes.
Now, Sarah, when you talk about UNOC, or Uganda National Oil Company, first, let my viewer understand what is your mandate, how are you established?
Okay, that's fair enough. Uganda National Oil Company, like the name goes, is a fully Ugandan company. It's established by Act of Parliament, and so we have the mandate. Our shareholding is the Minister of Finance with 49% shares, and the Minister of Mineral Energy and Energy with 51% shares. So that shows you that it is a wholly Ugandan company, and the way companies are set, you need to have shareholders, and those ministers, whoever sits in that portfolio assumes our the shareholding role. So we are set up by Act of Parliament, we are company limited liability, and our mandate is to represent the government of Uganda in the business of petroleum, that is oil and gas. So you will find us representing government, commercial interests, anything to do with business for government, we are there. We are there upstream, which we call the production phase. You know, we are there as the company representing government with the other joint venture partners, the investors. We are there in the midstream, where after producing, you now add value to the product, the crude. How do you add value? You refine. So we are there in the midstream, where the crude oil is transported. That is the East African crude oil pipeline. We are there. We are there in the refinery while we add value to the crude oil. We are there. We are actually then there at the end, because you see it is up, mid, and downstream. In the downstream business is when the product gets to the end user, you and me. So we are there in the downstream business, and the business we do there is really storage, storing the bulk product and selling it to the oil marketing companies, where you find it on the pump. So we are in the entire value chain, representing government interests as we do business in the petroleum, in the oil and gas sector.
Now there you've mentioned we are there at the upstream, mid, whatever. Let's look at, give us a bird's eye view on the projects, briefly, that you're running, you're handling, having given us that rich mandate given to you by an Act of Parliament.
Yes, thank you. So upstream, we have, this is in the production exploration. Right now it's the production phase. Upstream, what we have and where we exist, we are in the Tilenga project. The Tilenga project is operated by the Total Energies. So UNOC has a 15% interest in the Tilenga project, operated by Total Energies. That is upstream. We are also in the Kingfisher project. The Kingfisher project is operated by CNOC. Now in CNOC, in that project, Kingfisher, we have a 15% interest as UNOC. So you can see government interests in those respective projects together with our joint venture partners. We exist there. So, and so when we move to the midstream, where the crude oil will have added value, that would be the transportation or the refinery where the value is added. In East African crude oil pipeline, UNOC exists still, representing government of Uganda, together with the Total Energies, together with CNOC, together with our Tanzanian counterpart, because that pipeline goes through Tanzania, and that counterpart there is TPDC, which is the Tanzanian Petroleum Development Corporation. UNOC exists still with a 15% interest. So with all the other shareholders, that is ECOP. And then we are there in the refinery. The refinery is solely Ugandan. It's on our side. And so there, we still exist with a partner in there, but our interest in the refinery, because it's a really strategic project, rises to 40%. So we have 40% government interest, government of Uganda interest, brought in and represented by UNOC in the refinery. And then you move from the refinery and the transportation ECOP, you now go downstream. In the downstream, we operate storage terminals. We are operating right now the Ginger storage terminal 100%. It stores fuel.
That's the first we have heard we have 100%. Continue.
Yes, because the nature of these projects, you need first the money and the expertise. Now, oil and gas is a new field. So we come in with the money, but we need an investor with both knowledge and more money. That's the business of oil and gas. It's not something that upstream you run alone. It is very rare, especially when you don't have the knowledge. So in the downstream, in the Ginger storage terminal, we've actually had a joint venture partner until last year. We've run it for 7 years with that person. We've now got the knowledge, and so we are now operating it alone since January this year. We operate it alone. It has 30 million liters it can store up to 30 million liters of petroleum product, and so that is a wholesaling place where we sell in bulk to the oil marketing companies. So we are in the business of bulk trading, call it wholesaling to the oil marketing.
Opened a tin of worms when you talked about the ginger storage.
Yes, the ginger storage we inherited, but we are also building, we are going to build the much bigger one where our refined product will be stored. And this one is nearer to the market. It is in Impiji, at a place called Namuwabula. So that one is 320 million liters, and it is going to receive the refined petroleum product from Hoima at the refinery, transported through a pipeline. It's called a multi-products pipeline to Mpiji, where we store it nearer the market so that we can still do the wholesale business that we are doing already.
So these are the trucks to come and
take to the respective oil marketing companies. Where
what
you
is
get
exactly
it on the
happening
pump
at
price.
Ginger? I'm interested to know.
At Ginger, we operate the terminal. And basically what we do...
Are these that were once we heard of as government, where they keep their reserves? You
Exactly.
said you inherited. So what is the
Yes.
current status then there?
It is 30 million. It is being run by UNOC. It is running well because we do store product there, and the oil marketing company, Starbucks, is one of our clients. They buy in bulk, and you receive it at the pump price.
So where are we getting what we are storing there?
Oh, now we import, because we are in the business of importing. Okay. Now we import, but when we have Mpiji, it will be from the refinery. Now, this is giving us good practice, by the way. The importing in bulk and marketing it and selling it, you get into that good business of learning how to market the product, so that by the time ours comes, when the refinery is on stream, we already have that knowledge.
Now, among the projects, I'm also interested in the refinery because it's not so much talked about like many of these other projects. How far have we moved with this refinery?
we've got good progress there. For example, the starting point would then be the design. Okay, that design is already reached. It's an RCC, what we call the residual catalytic cracker. That design is known, and it's been approved. It is known. Then, in terms of the front end engineering design, that's what I'm talking about. That is in place. We have the environmental, social impact assessment studies. That is a very important aspect. That has been done. That also has been done. So right now, what we are doing is negotiating the different agreements. There are agreements required before you can actually reach the final investment decision. Those agreements which we are sharing right now, the shareholding agreement, who has which shares, we are now discussing and negotiating the crude supply agreement. How much crude do you receive, when you receive it, and that kind of thing. That's what's being discussed. So there are these agreements we need out of the way so that we are happy with our partner, that we are on the right track, and everybody, and then the decision to finally start construction, which we call in the industry final investment decision. So that is what we are all waiting for. Once these are out of the way, negotiations are currently happening, and we anticipate that the final decision to invest will be sometime this year.
A quick one, do we really need this refinery? Because I've had some experts in this oil or petroleum industry saying, maybe it wouldn't be so much on us or someone else to manage it. It's a lot of investment into it. I just want to get your opinion on this.
We need the refinery. It was a good decision to go into a refinery because one of the things we need to understand very well, the crude oil that we will, when it comes out, fast oil, is not usable in your car. So you need to add value to it to make it usable in terms of the refinery will then make the diesel you need. It will make the jet fuel we need. It will make the petrol we need. It will even, if you refine it further, we will also get the LPG, the liquefied petroleum gas we need for cooking. Therefore, transitioning our people slowly into gas, and you stop this biomass forest cut cover, because you now have the product in your country. So we need the refinery. It is not right to actually get everything crude and you export it and then you import it back as a finished product. Because I'll give you an example.
Just like we do to our coffee sometimes.
Exactly. Now, for right now, we are spending close to $2 billion annually importing the finished product of petroleum. So that import bill is high. When you have the product, the crude refined here, that goes away. But also, more importantly, because you import, you remember sometimes we have arguments with like misunderstanding with the boat. We are land linked, so we can have misunderstandings with our neighboring the friends, and then the trucks are rioting at the border, and so the product is not coming in. And the moment there is a shortage on your daily consumption, you know what happens to the price.
Demand, factors of demand and supply.
Pump price
automatically they should have.
Yes. Now, when you have a refinery, that is one way of guarding against such thing. The product is in-house. So we need a refinery. But that is even not enough. We will get jobs. When you have a refinery, the jobs that are created as a result, because apart from refining, there are several other industries that arise out of refining, which we call the petrochemical industries. And that is why the other countries usually want us to export that crude, because those jobs, those industrializations happen in their country. That industrialization that are offshoots after you've removed the fuel you need, the byproducts, the petrochemical products that are a result, these are inputs into most of the factories and industries you have here that import these things. Now you have them at home. So industrialization spurs, you create a whole village of industry, which is more jobs. And so some countries even just build a refinery. They don't even have the crude because they know what they're going to benefit out of having a refinery. So the jobs, the revenue you get, the taxes, but the opportunity is in the jobs and the industrializations that happen. And of course, reducing that import bill to almost nothing because you have the product here. So we need the refinery. And it was a very good decision to go for the refinery because we've seen countries that don't refine. What happens?
Now, you've brought in the petrochemical industry, and you said this is a blessing after having the refinery. Indeed, one would say there are jobs, but in this oil and gas sector, there's so much concern regarding the environment. We cherish that we're going to be having a refinery, we'll have the petrochemical industry. I'm interested to know more because this is more of what we take after the petrol.
Yeah.
How do we handle this industry? One for environmental safety as well.
Now, the environment is the first thing that you have to think about before you get into any of this business. Mainly because, apart from the money you bring, your equity, the bulk of it is borrowed. And no lender is going to give you money when you're degrading the environment. So environment comes number one. And so if I'm to vie off a bit to the environment, we know the kind of carbons or the kind of environmental impact the refinery will have on this environment here. And so one of the plans we have is to plant. We have a campaign of 40 million trees. That will go a long way. The studies have been done. How much do you degrade and how much do you need to bring? So 40 million trees will go a long way in actually balancing that. But not only that, the refinery, I told you about the LPG gas. Already our forest cover has been depleted. 120,000 hectares almost every year is too much. Now, when you have a refinery and the LPG gas in-house, you've seen the ministry has already started piloting, giving out canisters of gas because it is piloting in preparation for what we are going to have. We will have more LPG gas here in the house, and so with the gas available and affordable, you will now be able to transition people to cleaner energy. So the refinery actually is an opportunity for us as a country to transition to cleaner energy in agreement with all those agreements we have tested our signatures to, that we will move and transition slowly into cleaner energy. So with the trees and the transitioning of the cleaner energy, the environmental social assessment, impact assessment that has been done, has seen the issues that will arise and has proposed mitigation measures that should be done so that you have a balance, that you have this, but at the same time you are mitigating it this way. So the environment has been taken care of, and that is something that is like on the go. Now, you were talking about the petrochemical industries. These industries, I want people to understand that what is a petrochemical. These are byproducts. These are byproducts where you have benzene, ethylene. Those are byproducts from after refining that are inputs into all the plastics we see, into all the fertilizers we import, into food preservatives, because food preservatives, long shelf life is from petrol. It's a component. The input is a component as a result of the refining, which is a petrochemical. So you're looking at food preservatives, canisters, preserving the food, longer shelf life, the fertilizers that we import. The bill of fertilizers, I was looking at the URA figures, is huge, in the billions of dollars, you know. And there's the big thing that comes out of refining, the polymers which do this glass, you know, this tapered glass we use on buildings, in our home, all those polymers that do the plastics we need, that do all these other the main component is imported here, and it's what is spurring up these industries here. That component is $1.6 trillion imported annually. Last year, that was the figure. So you can see our industries are struggling because they are importing raw materials in the huge volumes with a lot of dollars spent. Now, when you have a refinery, all those byproducts and inputs into these industries, and even more that couldn't start because the importation bill was high, are done away with, because you can now receive them from the refinery. I'll just give you an example today. You use the toothbrush. Yes, you use the toothbrush. You walked on a carpet, because carpets have fibers out of petrochemicals. You walked on the carpet, the colors, all these upholsteries you have, even the fabrics we wear. You know, you went and had breakfast. Some of the preservatives in your food are a petrochemical result of refining, you know. Then you got into the car, the shoes you're wearing, the rubber sole, you know. All those are the input is a petrochemical. So you can see why it's very necessary for people to want you to export, because and then they sell you back finished products, okay? Then you entered your car, the wipers, anything plastic, the paints, all these paints are using an input out of petrochemical. So petrochemicals are our day-to-day life. And that is why the refinery is a must, because a lot of these industries are importing these things, fertilizers, this glass, the glass. When you look at the bills, what URA records as imported tapered glass for homes and buildings, oh, it's in the billions. I mean, those bills will now be used to spur off this industry. They will not be spending expensive raw material, and we'll have a wide range of industrialization going on. So that's what we are looking to. And that's the importance of petrochemicals, because it is that's the in thing. Yeah. And that's why you see refineries have actually now started, that most of Africa has been exporting the crude in its raw form. The structures of how they negotiated all these things and all require that they export it. But now Africa is doing a turnaround. Dangote has just built one of the hugest refineries in Nigeria, and things are changing. Either the countries are building, or they are upgrading, or they're expanding refineries that have been sleeping for years because they've realized the import bill. I'll give you some statistics. The resource we have here in Africa is close to 1.4 in terms of what is required at world consumption. And yet, what we actually import is close to 2 point something. So you can see, although we have the resource, we import half, meaning we export it in a raw state. And so when countries start upgrading and expanding and opening up sleeping refineries and then building new ones, Nigeria, Uganda, Africa is changing the story. We want the product here. We want the spur of industrialization here. And yes, we need that.
So that we reduce on importation,
yes,
and we can have more of exports, and that will do our economy great if we can have this refinery and, of course, the petroleum chemical industry, where more jobs, like she said. Well, allow me go for a short break. When I return, I want my guest this morning to provide us with, that is a continental overview, actually, of the state of refineries, because we are not in this alone. Yes. We are not the first. I don't know if we are not going to be the last, because I see the world is moving day by day, the gospel of moving away from fossil fuel. So I don't want to say, but we are not the first in this. And I love one time when His Excellency was posed with a question regarding this. She said, we've just entered the club. For you who are still outside, but for us who have just entered, we shall do the dancing. Let's return shortly.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Attention coffee farmers, traders and processors. Uganda Coffee Development Authority has important advice for a successful harvest season. Pick only red farm cherries to achieve good weight and high quality coffee. For natural processing, Dry coffee on tarpaulin, concrete or clothing to avoid mold growth. Avoid heaping coffee on the floor. Store coffee in jute bags and in ventilated rooms on wooden pallets. For more information on good harvest practices, visit your nearest extension worker or Uganda Coffee Development Authority offices.
Juko.
Yo.
Wachiko. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. But what you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that.
Okay.
The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Ojja kumpa irisiti tompa bidala irisiti ojja kumpa irisiti tompa bidala mpa irisiti yange.
That's right. Insist on getting your e-receipt. It's your ticket to fantastic prizes, including motorbikes, laptops, fridges, and a fully paid 6-day safari for 2 in Uganda. Take a picture of your e-receipt, upload it to the URA website or mobile app, and you could be the lucky winner. The more receipts you upload, the higher your chances of winning. Terms and conditions apply. More details on our social media channels.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Welcome back, and thank you for keeping it with us here on Good Morning Uganda Extra. In case you've just joined, I'm Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono, and we are here every weekday from 6:30 a.m. brightening your morning, putting smiles on your faces, washing away all the stress that you had throughout the night. So make it a date with us. There's so much jokes, so much laughters. I, Molen, Felix, and the big team behind the cameras, the technical wing there, with the aim of spicing up your morning with relevant information, because we take you through what is happening globally, then we come back home, we give you what is trending in the dailies within East Africa. Well, there is the newsreel where I analyze a number of issues, and of course, for the sports lovers, Ruben is there to give you all that you need regarding sports updates. And we have the agenda where we have guests or a guest and discuss issues of national concern. So why not make it a date with us every weekday? We'll be excited to have you tomorrow. In case you've just joined us, please make it a daily routine to start your day with us. And this is an extension, which is Good Morning Uganda Extra. And today we are discussing petroleum industry, the petrochemical industry. And I'm with the head of corporate affairs, Uganda National Oil Company. And we are discussing quite a number of interesting issues here regarding oil. Now we looked at the refinery, we looked at the petrochemical industry. Now I want to look at an overview of other players. Let's look at what is really happening on a wider scope of it. We are in this game. It's all about making money, developing our economy, but give us another picture of it.
Okay, thank you. So before we broke off, I told you about the importance of the refinery. And so it's not just Uganda that has realized this. The rest of the continent are with us in terms of ensuring that, to the extent possible, Africa's resource should be, value should be added on it from here in Africa instead of exporting it. And so we have Nigeria, you know, has the huge resource of crude. I was saying earlier, they import half of the petroleum products they need in the country. They're a huge bill of importation. But that is changing because either this month of July or next month, Nigeria has built one of the hugest refineries, Dangote refinery. And so he wants that Dangote refinery wants to change the history of Nigeria, of importation. Nigeria has among the worst electricity supplies, and yet from crude you can get electricity. So they are hoping to change that trajectory, that they have enough energy and it is in-house, that they don't import, that they spur up industrialization. It is something else. It's a huge one. 650,000 barrels, something around there. The refinery is a big one. So, and that is not Nigeria alone. Algeria itself is into refining. It's actually into refining, and it is doing an excellent job. You've seen our president goes there to basically, you know, we've entered these MOUs to capacity build, to exchange knowledge, to train us how they've done it and how they're doing so well. So you can see North Africa is changing. But even in Southern Africa, South Africa itself, actually Ghana had dormant refineries. It had 2 dormant refineries. They were ridden with mismanagement and all that. They are changing that. They are upgrading them. And there were government refineries. They are looking at changing management and leadership because Africa has woken up. We need to have refineries on the continent. But now, that's North Africa. If you go to Southern Africa, South Africa itself is waking up sleeping refineries, you know, in terms of revamping them, in terms of changing the technology, because they were built a long time ago and probably they were not performing as well. So now new technologies have come on the market, so they are now remodeling their refinery so that they too can begin to do the refining so well and reduce on that import bill. Even Mozambique, then Uganda has come on the scene. So a lot of the refineries that existed in Africa had been mismanaged, or the technology was old, and what they're doing is to revamp, expand, to put new technology. The continent needs $16 billion $16 billion to either revamp or expand or change technology or wake up something that wasn't performing as well. That is the bill that we require, and it's determined to do those things because the future is only brighter when you refine on the continent. And that's how Uganda is coming in on the scene. With all that happening around, with those who have the resource, going into refining from home, we couldn't do anything different. So we are also coming in to have a 60,000 barrel oil refinery. What that means that on a daily, our refinery will be able to refine 9.5 million liters. At the moment, just to put you in context, we consume 6 million liters daily. We consume 6 million liters daily. So if the refinery comes on stream and can refine, and we have on the market a product of 9.5 million liters, you can see that we are already in line because there is a growth of almost 9% or 10% on an annual basis. We will have just enough and maybe even share with some of our neighboring friends. So that is one of the reasons that refinery is quite important, because with the 9.5 million liters daily, you are closing out logistical issues in terms of transporting your refined product from a port or on the road, and all the hazards that come with trucks moving on the road, and all the hazards that come with borders closing as and when, or you know, all that is closed out and the jobs are here. There is security of supply, and then with the storage terminals, you know, you have reserves for a rainy day so that you don't have your prices spike when product is reduced. I mean, the whole refining story, what is happening here, something, in fact, our team has been there. You're looking at huge amounts of everyday product, but that is because they want it to not only have the finished product for their vehicles, but also their energy they use, the electricity they use, because you can do crude to electricity. So that they, I mean, I've been to Nigeria and I was shocked. We went to a particular place and every shop had a generator. So there is a power problem. So that kind of refinery, a refinery will help you solve that crisis of power. Because one would ask, with all the crude oil you have, why are you still in shortages of power?
Now, Sarah, all that you've said seems rosy. Very beautiful.
It is beautiful. It is beautiful.
When you talk about the petrochemical industry, when you talk about the refinery, I can see the passion. I know someone watching is like, this lady is oil herself. You know, with a lot of passion, with a lot of hope. And
yes, because it's a good story.
Just wait when we shall get to this wonderland, the land of milk and honey, Spa, where we've ensured we almost have everything here. But my concern comes at what plans do we have for waste management? What plans do we have to avoid oil spills? Because this is where hell goes loose. And this good story, in just a blink of an eye, can all go down a negative.
Yes. And the good thing with taking long to do certain things is that you study from those who have gone before you. The time we have spent benchmarking, understanding what has gone right here in this country, what didn't go right, has helped us put our house in order. For starters, there is a national oil spill contingency plan in place. That was put in place, it was launched, but not just at the center. It has been decentralized in the districts. I have been to Gomba and I found them being trained. They had come from the center, those who came, and now at the district level, they were appreciating what is this national oil spill contingency plan as the environmental teams at district level. That amount of knowledge and preparation only comes because you have understood where problems have happened, and so you get ready, you prepare yourselves. So we have a national oil spill contingency plan that spells out what is triggered when. I will tell you about the pipeline. The technology now, you know, we have fiber up running along the entire pipeline. And what is the purpose of this fiber? It is the fastest detector to tell when a spill or tampering has been done with. Apart from human beings working, which cannot do the very good part, the fiber alerts you when a spill is when at the onset. And so the entire contingency plan kicks in because it has valves, lock-up valves at intervals. So should there be a problem in this section that is detected immediately by the fiber optics that are running along, then people move in to close so that it's not a continuous thing. They close off the problem area and then they handle the problem. So that is new technology, because in the countries that have gone before us, that is not how it happens. There is no valves, there are no optic fibers going along. So these are some of the measures, critical measures and alert systems that are being put in place basically to avert some of those problems you're talking about. And such information is trickling right up to the last foot soldier who is supposed to do their work here. So it's been a journey, and it continues to be a journey. But the most important part of this journey is that there's been success stories in some countries and not so success stories in other countries. Now, when you benchmark and realize what has gone right, you make a hybrid of the success stories you have seen of things to do well and things not to start. Yeah, that would be how I would explain that. I don't remember if there was
The waste
something else.
management.
Oh, the waste management,
Yes,
correct.
because these byproducts of
Correct.
oil are very important, yet very hazardous to our soils, to our environment as well.
Now, the waste management has also, because you have seen these things and that they can happen, there are proper companies that have been given the contracts to manage this waste. Absolutely. I mean, when you go down to Bulisa or you go down to the Kingfisher area, basically, you will find the EnviroServe. EnviroServe has beefed up, it has readied itself, it has the machinery, it has the equipment, it has the land to do everything required so that the waste from Tilenga is managed very well. I have been there myself in just a week, and I mean, we were wowed by what we saw. The amount of preparation and investment that they have done to make sure that because the waste, like you say, is a lot. So they have equipment there, and they have land, they are covering things, and they even have testing equipment to test that whatever it is they are managing does not get into the local soil. So it needs a visit there, but the preparation, the companies are equipped, the knowledge is there. Then, on the Kingfisher side, we have our own UPDF, NEC. They are managing that. Their construction, they are preparing themselves. They are managing that for Kingfisher side. And it is all being handled now. That is given, awarded to NEC so that they can be able to manage this waste home very well, you know. So that is not something that has not been looked into. The detail you can actually ascertain when you get down to see how it's being managed, but it's being managed very well because the investment is good, the knowledge has been done, and the benchmark of people and where problems happened, a good hybrid has been made for our country to manage that.
Well, the oil talk is something that we may not love to end because Ugandans, this is something we've waited for a very long time. And we are told 2025 doesn't seem very far for us to have our first oil, but of course there's so much that we must have in place, and we must be very slow but sure to have the best. Let me have your parting shot.
You said the excitement. Yes. I get very excited when I'm talking about oil because I see a change in our people. There's not so much we have not talked about in terms of how capacity has been built. So I want us to be the ones who speak, because you see the tongue is a creator. In Uganda, oil is not a curse. Because of the time we've taken and the preparation done, that is not what we should be saying. In Uganda, we want to loop into opportunities. And because we can't talk about everything on air today, I would request that you reach out to us. Reach out to us at Uganda National Oil Company. We do have an email, info, I-N-F-O, info at UNOC, which is info at unoc.co.ug. I'll say it again, info at unoc.co.ug. Send us an email, or you come to plot 15 on Yusuf Ulele Road. We are on plot 15 come and visit us. But more importantly, you can call. You can call, and our line is, there'll be someone to pick you and send you to the right people. 0312 444 600. 0312 444 600. Call us, visit us, send us an email. There's so many opportunities we can discuss, and you join the enthusiasm we have. That's some of us who have seen. That would be my parting
Well,
shot.
thank you so much for your time, and of course updating the nation on how far we have gone, and of course what they should expect as we wait for 2025 to have our first oil. We hope there will be no extension. We hope all the measures that must be in place will be put in place. This is a national good. Let's all interest ourselves. Let's all get to know. Let's push things in the right direction because there is so much benefit. Imagine how much money we've been spending on importing oil if we can save this money. Imagine how many jobs that can be created by the petrochemical industry, by the refinery, everywhere, and oil indeed can be a blessing or a curse, but we hope and pray that this is a mega blessing to Uganda. And see you tomorrow, the good Lord willing, for God and my country. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning